Hello, people, and welcome back to another Ball Over Passion preview as we preview this Forest game and some interesting 3 p.m. results today, and some good, some bad. But we're here to talk about Arsenal because it was back time to go back to the top of the table. I reckon. I don't like this second position, and we need to get back to winning ways. So, how are you feeling, George? What's going on with you?
Yeah, not too bad. Like I tuned in for the last little bit, of course, to heartbreak, with the Spurs game. But yeah, not too bad, mate. Like I've had some work to do, but look, there's some interesting results. De Zerbi, really interesting 4-1. And then you've basically got Newcastle, who had a really good game themselves. Miguel Almiron is having an amazing season, and then you've got, of course, Spurs, which is really annoying because it was off two set pieces, horrible set pieces, by the way, just god awful. So, but as
Yeah.
the timeline would say, you just knew it was going to happen. But you know, ultimately, it's just about doing your own business. And I'm looking forward to the Forest game because I feel that we've had three games in a row where I feel that Mikel has not picked fluent sides on both sides of the pitch, and I'm just hoping that we break that spell. It's nice to have another home game because we've had quite a few away games. I think that was like something our fourth and five home game, throughout the month, and so it would be really nice to be at home. Um, and I think the boys kind of need it, to be honest with you. But what's beautiful is if anybody's got a great moment, you had a moment to transform Curran, but he's back. Um, so
Oh, am I back? Sorry, that that
yeah,
that just that
um,
happened. Um, yeah.
no, it was good. It was good though because I really think that this next game is going to be a fairly easy one. Steve Cooper is definitely um, you know a kind of side that I feel are really poor away from home. I mean, they're 20th, right? So, like we kind of had in the preview. I mean, we are the
Yeah, I mean,
first.
we said it in the tweet, didn't we? Yeah.
Yeah, we're first at home. They're 20th away. They really struggle going away. We are incredible at home, and it's because of our home fans who provide an excellent atmosphere. And I think the boys do need it. I will say, like, I think we're just going to need to lean into the crowd a little bit, not because Forest are necessarily tough, but just because we've had a difficult schedule where we've really worked hard. So I think it'll be nice to have some returnees. You have Mohamed El Neni back on the pitch here at BoP. We exclusively told you he'll be back by November, and shock horror, we get our first pick of him back in group training. So
Mm.
it'll be nice. I still think he's about 7 to 10 days away. So I'm assuming that was from a Friday training session that they just held picks back on. So I mean, he could be involved. It would be very close. I think it's too short next week on Thursday, but it's nice to see that he's back. It really helps out the depth, pushing Sambi Lakonga back in the position we all feel he's best used at. And so, but in terms of this game, I think Gabrielle is back in training. Like, I mean, it was just a knock. How Arsenal like to kind of report it is always a little bit iffy, but Gabrielle's back, and so is Marquinhos. So I don't think we have really any injuries, bar what we know with Emil Smith Rowe, Mohamed Al still too short despite being in group training, and then we've got um, the big one with Zinchenko, who for me was never going to be fit for this game. It was always going to be Chelsea. I kind of warned everybody. Um, until you see him in two group training photos, you basically assign like a time frame of about 7 to 10 days. So very possible that he gets started like on Monday or something, but he won't be back for until Chelsea, I think minimum. So yeah, I know it's interesting. I do feel that Bukayo Saka is going to have a really good game, and I want Martinelli to have a good game. I think he struggled the last couple games, not
Yeah.
just the most recent one, but just in general, he's been quite loose technically, and so is Gabriel Jesus. So I'm hoping that corridor kind of picks up again, and like Granit Xhaka has been just so consistent. I don't think he gets the praise that he deserves. Like he's been clear player of the season for me. And he really deserves to kind of get his kudos because this is going to be a good game for him.
Yeah, I mean, the main thing for me is going into this game, you want to see. I mean, I did the title. I want to see a response. I want to see something different to what we've been seeing. Um, we're still we've drawn the last two games, and we've in the league, and then we lost it on Thursday. And I want to see something different. I think home, um, on a Sunday, I think with some different players coming into different systems, and I've put together a lineup based on what Forest's last lineup is, and they come into this game with confidence from Liverpool. They obviously beat Liverpool and were very good and worthy for their win. In terms of threats going forward, I just think you're gonna have to watch out for Awani. I think he's a physical presence up top, and he's someone that we need to just keep an eye on. I don't think will have to worry about being out muscled with Gabriel at the back, who is in training. And obviously Morgan Gibbs White, I think, has started to find his form in this Nottingham Forest team, and he should be someone to keep an eye out for. Um, for me, I just think this is going to be a game where we need to just put our own authority on this game. I think this is a game when you're at home, especially, you need to make sure that you're not letting the game kind of pass you by, as we have in a couple of games. I think there's a lot of issues with in terms of staticness, and we've talked about the lack of movement, etc., and these kinds of things. But for me, the main thing is play with a bit more urgency, play with a bit more freedom. I think to just have and make sure we are occupying every lane on the pitch. I think just simple basic things. If you're just we can't have this bunching of players and players not really knowing what their roles are. And one player I do want to talk about, and I'll let you talk about him, George, is Gabriel Jesus. I think he's been a bit off it in the last two games. I think he's not looked like himself, and he needs a goal. And I think this is a perfect game for him to get a goal. What do you make of Jesus coming back into the fold?
Yeah, I mean, for me though, a lot of it is making sure that you get somebody close to him that he can combine with really well. And
Hmm.
probably the best example is this scenario last game. For me, it's with Eddie Nketiah and it's with Gabriel Martinelli, but making sure that we've got Kieran Tierney playing for me is going to be massive. I want to see this high and wide force with Granit Xhaka a little bit deeper so that we can push Martinelli closer to the striker, because I think Gabby Jesus in this form, he's going to want to drop deep, and I want him to combine with somebody that he has a connection with. And, he has one with, Gabriel Martinelli. And so for me, he has to be involved with the play, but with people that will facilitate him to get on the ends of actions as opposed to starting them and then gassing out by the end. I had a tweet up where I feel as though Gabriel Jesus right now, he's trying to make up for the fact that he's not having great efficiency in his finishing by dropping deep and trying to help out play. But by doing so, he fatigues himself to the final action, and he's typically very off balance right now when he's finishing moves. So for me, I need to restrict him and maximize his movement in the box. That's where he's dangerous. That's where he's most used. And so, in order to do that, I'd much rather Gabby Martinelli be a little bit more in so that we can push him higher up the pitch. And
Hmm.
just by doing that, we squeeze things a little bit more. So that's what I'm looking out from him. But really quickly for Chris, in terms of like Nottingham Forest kind of injuries, I think Lewis O'Brien probably should be back. He just came back into training, but it was just an illness. And then they've still got Jack Colbeck out, Musa Niakate out, and Harry Tafolo's out as well. But I don't think that they're going to be major players in this. I still think that for me, Kuyate is like one person to keep an eye on. And of course, Nico Williams has been a major chance creation method for them. Just in terms of that half space cross. And if you can shut that off, then I think you stop what makes Nottingham Forest pretty good. But in general, the biggest player to really have a look at for me is Steve Cook. I just think he's really poor, defensively, and it might be time to kind of throw up the tactical board. So just so we can have a look at it. But yeah, no, I agree here, and it's more to do with balance because he physically has the capacity to reach the box after he drops deep, so
It's
it's
a
already
different way
better.
though.
Um, it,
It's a different way though, because with Lacazette, it's the lack of movement. I feel like Jesus is moving too much. Like he's trying to drop too much and get into too many different situations. Like he feels he needs to be busy on the ball and off the ball
it,
to
you know,
sort of
you
like
know what
play
it is,
himself into
Curran.
form with. Yeah.
You know what it is? It's his dribbling technique, and this is so. I had another tweet kind of talking about dribbling technique and making sure that you can um, balance yourself, because balance is the key to dribbling. All right, and when you have a look at the best dribblers, look at Bukayo Saka. An underrated aspect of it is how you use your balance to kind of destabilize your markers a bit that are trying to tackle you, and you kind of force this deer in headlight moment. Gabriel Jesus
Hmm.
doesn't do that. He is chaotic. He is instinctual. He receives and goes. He's vertical. And for him, he doesn't have that same pause in his dribbling, and it's a little bit more chaotic. And so, in order to facilitate that, that's kind of why typically you see after he takes on two markers, he's always like at the end of losing the ball. And on all of his major solo runs, you see this really kind of in
Like he's
start
always kind
quality.
of just reaching at the end. Like
Yeah,
he's like trying to just sort of get it out of his feet.
yeah,
But yeah, I just
it's
think
always on
yeah.
the edge because he doesn't have that same balance when dribbling, and so
Hmm.
it's very instinctual. And so, in order to like stop that, essentially, just don't have him beat 4 or 5 players. Like, have him on the end of a move, have him receiving in the final action where he can basically touch, set, go. Like that's what you want from a Gabby Jesus. So, um, for me, in order to facilitate that, though, get somebody that likes to dribble to do the deeper work, and then that pushes him in the box naturally. So then you don't have him as deep. And it's more of a case of he's not tired getting to the box, but he's unbalanced when he has too much of the ball. So that is like really the only little tweak that we need to have. But um,
Hmm.
for you, like we'll probably get the tactical board up just to have a really quick look because this is kind of most likely what they're going to set up as. And I'm talking about Gabriel Martinelli because Steve Cook is basically the right center back. And for me, Nico Williams is an excellent attacking threat. And he is almost somebody that just loves that half space cross. But I think that corridor between Nico Williams and Steve Cook can be rinsed. It can be
Yeah.
done very much. Aurier isn't, the best, fullback by any means. And so I think the fullbacks for Nottingham Forest are going to be very fruitful for our wingers, both Martinelli and Saka doing those out to in runs that we always love to see. But in particular, I really think that we can isolate Steve Cook. And if you're looking at trying to get, Gabby Jesus more in the box, but also Gabriel Martinelli 1v1 against players, I really need to see Kieran Tierney in this position because what I want to see is this. Again, Kern, I'm going to keep doing this because if Martinelli is able to receive in this position, by the way, with Gabby Jesus kind of combining a little bit on the left, and you have Eddie Nketiah swap for Gabby Jesus. This is the perfect situation for me in order to isolate Steve Cook. And this is kind of the rotation that I want to see. That kind of depends on Kieran Tierney playing. Like, that's like the big thing from this tactical board breakdown. Like, we kind of know everybody's team bar the left back. That's essentially what we've been turning out with. The only thing is, of course, we'll probably have Aaron Ramsdale instead of Turner over here. But
Oh, sorry.
yeah,
My mistake. I don't know what happened there. Yeah, my bad. I
but
made this, so that's my mistake there. But
but
yeah, the main thing I wanted to
I
talk
still
about.
think
Sorry,
Steve
George.
Cook. Yeah, I still think Steve Cook is going to be a
Mm,
case, and I think Kuyade is somebody down their left hand side that makes it just that extra more secure. I think he's the better midfielder of the two between him and Yates, and so I think Saka, look, he's one of our best players. He'll get a numerical superiority against anybody, but I think Martin Odegaard might have a difficult time with Kuyade. So for me, I'm looking at a quick switch out to make sure that we isolate Cook because I think that's the corridor that we really need to attack.
yeah, the quick switch is key. I think that's the main issue. But for me, I want to see Tierney wide, Xhaka underlaps. That's the main thing for me. I think Xhaka making those third man runs into the box. I think he's amazing at it this season. I think that it's a way that we can get isolate Nico Williams and get basically a 2v1 out wide and try and push the the ball into the box. And the one thing I'm going to say is talking about the the way we can get the ball into the box. I think that right to left switch and then the left to right into the box, I think will be good. I think obviously we have the build up method that we like, which is basically go building through the right and switching in and then cutting in, maybe even with a Saka shot or an Odegaard shot or getting it to Jesus. But that right to left switch, I think at times we've been too central in these last couple of games. I want to see us use our strength, which is wide. Um, White overlaps, Xhaka underlaps, Tierney overlaps as well. I think that overlap on the outside and the underlap from the 8 position will be key in creating numerical overloads in terms of out wide and inside the box, as well as
Well,
having those late third man runs
well, for me,
to
mate, like
create 3 or 4 people in the box creating havoc. So
I think when you have a look at it, the fullback battle is going to be key to this for us because I would say on both ends, I want Kieran Tierney high and wide, and I also want Ben White overlapping to a really good degree and behind Aurier. Like, I think for me, that's going to be the story of the match and making sure that our wingers are isolated against their center backs who are cumbersome, who aren't very good. And of course, when you have a look at Nottingham Forest kind of record just in general in terms of home and away, but also kind of their they give up roughly like 23 goals so far, which is almost 1.92 per game, which is the rate that we score this season, which is incredible. Like they do give away so many opportunities, and it's because of their wing, like their fullbacks for me. Like they have a pretty industrious midfield that isn't particularly talented, but their fullbacks are what they create the most with, but they are poor defending. They have very poor blindside awareness. We know what Aurier is like. He can't track people, and so for me, making sure that you've got Ben White really strong on that overlap is going to be super important. And then having Kieran Tierney high and wide. I know you said you wanted Granit Xhaka to underlap, but for me, I just want him occupying Nico Williams so that we can put Martinelli inside because I feel um, that whoever you have against, Nico Williams between Martinelli and Tierney, it both will beat him. But for me, I want Martinelli closer to Gabby Jesus because I really think we need to get him firing again. And the best way to do that for me is to get him somebody that he likes to combine with. He's already got a connection. We've seen it in preseason. So just get somebody that he likes to play off of 1-2s. And, I think that'll just get him. He's naturally chaotic. So if you just combine it with two chaotic forces together, it'll be a little bit better for him. But look, I think it's down to the prediction time for me. And I'm going to go 2-0. I want a clean sheet. I think we'll get one at home. I think, again, we're facing the 20th team in the league away, and we are the first at home. So, despite people's perceived idea that we played poorly, and I hope that we try to change narrative from, the last game when we didn't play poorly. It was a poor result, but like we played pretty decently. And so, I just want to return to some basics. Aaron Ramsdale mentioned it in his post-match interview, and I kind of agree. Just get back to basics, doing what we do best. And I think for me, a nice 2-0 with a clean sheet is something that I'm looking forward to. But how about yourself?
Yeah, I think that personally, I'm going for three. I know that's people are going to be, oh, that's optimistic, whatever. But no, I think it's quite on. I think we have the best weapons to dismay their structure and break it. I think the third man runs from deep from both sides, Odegaard and Xhaka, as well as isolating their fullbacks out wide. I think we have plenty of methods of chance creation. This is going to be a big game for Gabriel for me because I think that his ability to distribute the ball and break lines with his passing, with switches to either side, will be something that we are going to use quite well. I think White obviously will do something similar from the right back, and having Tierney in hopefully will mean that you have a wide option, which means you can make those switches to either Saka or to Tierney. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. I think it should be a good game. I think we're in for a 3-0. I would say for me, Xhaka again with hopefully a Bukayo goal and a Martinelli goal. I do like Forest at times. I think they can improve a lot, and I think they're starting to get it together a little bit. I've been watching a little bit of them myself. That Liverpool game was a really good execution of transition football, being able to get the ball in the back of the net, capitalizing off that Van Dijk mistake. They did very well, and they defended quite well. So yeah, let's have a look and let's see what we can do. Away from home, they've not been great. So yeah, I think 3-0. I think we can do it, and I think we need to go back to the top of the table, and we need a good result here, just to calm some people down, get the blood flowing back into the system, and just getting the results flowing again. Because we've got Zurich next, and then Chelsea, who are not doing great themselves. So let's see what we can do and get out of here with 3 points.
Absolutely. And so that kind of leads us to, guys, you let us know what the score line you guys predicted for it to be, tomorrow. Hopefully we see a little 2-0. But thank you so much for sticking with us, guys. Make sure you guys comment all of your score lines. Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe before you guys head out. If you guys could like, it really helps out the channel. So that would be really appreciated. But also make sure you hit the bell for notifications to know when, in fact, we do upload. And of course, all the guys' socials are down below here. So George V _AFC, and then Curran's at Curran BOP, and of course, Chris is at CKFTBL. And we are Ball Over Passion at YouTube or at BOP Footy on the Twitter. So, guys, thank you so much. Hope you guys enjoy the rest of your weekend. And we'll take it game by game, but hopefully we have a very positive result at home. Return to the fans. Let's give them a nice, good win. So, cheers. Thank you so much, guys. And we'll catch you guys on the review on the next one. Peace, everybody.